What's going on, gamers? It's your boy Richie Bond Gaming, bringing you my week 7 team builder video versus the Golden Cosmos and the Winden Dragapults. This is my last match of the regular season versus one of my best friends and one of the toughest opponents, the previous champion of the BDSP Draft League. Cosmos' team, as expected, is great. He's a phenomenal player. His differential right now is plus 24. He hasn't lost a single game. It's gonna be tough, but I'm just gonna show you what I'm thinking about doing, and we're gonna see if it works. First, we're gonna go over Cosmos' team. He picked up Goldango. This is just a phenomenal mon, obviously one of the best ones introduced in Gen 9. Its ability is stupid, its signature move is stupid, its stats are stupid. It's very good. It has not the craziest coverage, but good coverage. It gets stuff like Power Gem, Thunderbolt, Dazzling Gleam. All are pretty interesting options, but we're gonna see Make It Rain, we're gonna see Shadow Ball. Cosmos has been playing with defensive Terras, not offensive. He doesn't seem to want to run Terra Steel, so I can expect to see like Water or Flying or like maybe Fairy, just things like that on this mon. It can run an offensive set. It doesn't, I don't think it gets really supportive stuff, and I think if you run it supportively, you're kind of, it's a lost opportunity kind of. So I expect this to come. It's really good into me. It's just a great mon. It's crazy. Speaking of great mons, Annihilate. Cosmos has been running pretty standard sets this season for Annihilate. They've just pretty much had fighting type move, Rage Fist, coverage move, setup move, protect. It's kind of just been it, but to be fair, like Annihilate doesn't do that much stuff. It doesn't need to do that much stuff. Its basic stuff is just so freaking good. I could be wrong, but I don't think Cosmos has run a Scarf Final Gambit set. I think he has run Final Gambit, but I don't think he's done like a setup kind of Final Gambit thing, just because in Draft League, like Annihilate, when things are so unpredictable, I feel like the Final Gambit is a gamble that it's not really worth taking when your team isn't full of A tiers, right? There have only so many A tiers, and Annihilate is so freaking good. It would be kind of silly to sack it right away. So I don't expect to see that set. Annihilate could definitely come. It is threatened by Dragapult, but this thing often wants to Terra. It might not come. This is one I'm not like convinced on, because I do have good answers for it. Like just my 2As, Dragapult and Iron Valiant, like threaten the Terra. Like it requires like you to Terra, or it has to have a defensive item of some sort, which I don't think. So, you know, long story short, I don't know if Annihilate will come despite it being super strong. Noivern's almost certainly coming. The reason why I say that is because Cosmos really wants Tailwind against me. At least it's my assumption looking at all of this. Either Tailwind or Trick Room, but I think he's just better off matching my Tailwind. Noivern also, Cosmos has run it with Scarf before, which is really funny because it's so fast, but you would need it to outpace Dragapult, which threatens it immediately. So this, I think here's my gamble. It'll come, it'll have Tailwind, it'll have either Focus Sash or Choice Scarf. I'm thinking Focus Sash. I think Cosmos doesn't want to lock himself in with Scarf against me. Even though he's done it before, I don't think he wants to do it against me, and I can't really explain it. So I'm expecting a support set with Frisk. Frisk is such a crazy ability in Draft League. He's certainly bringing Frisk if this comes. Infiltrator's good, Telepathy's good, but I just don't think those are happening. Frisk is just way too much information. It's just too useful. It's gonna have Tailwind, it might have Taunt, might have Super Feign. It'll have things that will annoy me and allow Cosmos to outpace me. So I expect this to lead, and my goal is to just bop it immediately. Gardevoir is really good. Fairy is actually insane into my team. I think my only resist is Pyroar. Thinking, yes. Bronzong. I have Bronzong as well. But Bronzong doesn't come to every matchup because it's kind of niche. I do have Bronzong on my team. I don't expect Cosmos to really prep for it that much because I don't think it's great into his. I don't think it really does anything. But yeah, Fairy Spam is really strong against me because Dragapult and Valiant. I keep bringing up Dragapult and Valiant just because they're my A tiers. They're like really core to my team, and Gardevoir is good into them. That being said, Dragapult outspeeds and bops Gardevoir too. Trace could be really annoying. If I bring something like Friend Guard, like it could really turn the tables on me in a way. So I have to be careful if Gardevoir comes with Trace. I don't think it'll have Telepathy. It might. Cosmos did trade out Boom Bursting to Dunsparce, so Telepathy strats probably aren't quite as common. So I expect Trace to come. Trace is really good. I do think Gardevoir will be on the team against me. I think it'll just be offensive. If Cosmos does do a Trick Room mode, it's going to have Gardevoir, but I don't think he's doing Trick Room. I think I will see an offensive Gardevoir. Arboleva? however you want to pronounce it, was a trade for the Dunsparce. Cosmos got rid of the Dunsparce and brought in Arboliva. The grass typing, I can definitely see why he wanted it on his team, because otherwise his team was like really weak to water. You can kind of just spam water moves at it, and I think Arboliva kind of cleans that up a little bit. It's also strong, it's also bulky, it's got good coverage. Earth power is solid. I don't know if this comes into me, question mark. It's weirdly good against Dragapult because the normal typing helps keep it defensive, but I don't know. I'm not convinced. I'm not sure. I don't know what to expect. Very powerful Mon though, and it's cool to see it. I feel like it's kind of buddies with Pyroar because it's like an elemental type plus normal is like a kind of a fun combination that generally doesn't help them on that much, but I think for both Arboliva and Pyroar, it's actually kind of useful in some situations. So I think this could come. I think my water type isn't like really threatening, so I could definitely see Arboliva staying behind. So Jolteon's here. Jolteon's great. The fastest Mon on his team hits 130. Again, doesn't outspeed Dragapult, but it does outspeed everything else. It has Pin Missile that it can use to side proc Annihilape's Rage Fist. It's really strong. It can use Thunder Wave. It has other support options. It pretty much only has electric coverage. You can also teach it Shadow Ball, but for the most part, it's an electric bot, as a lot of good electric types are. It's not really a slight onto Jolteon at all. Not sure if this comes. One of my best Mons is Crocodile, which Jolteon kind of does nothing against, so I could see it staying home, but maybe not. Maybe it comes. I'm kind of 50-50 on this one. I'm prepared for it. It is threatening, but I don't think it's threatening enough to justify bringing. Could be wrong. Avalugg is here. Avalugg has only come to one other match, I believe, in the draft league for Cosmos. It's really cool. Bulky Ice is like kind of neat. I think it does kind of sit in front of my team, especially if I decide to leave Bronze on at home. Its big weakness is that special defense, and thankfully I've got some strong special hitters. So I don't think this is coming. This is like a 1 out of 10 no, 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10 possibility for this to come, because it is a phenomenal physical wall. My physical Mons aren't really like that. I don't know. I don't think that they're the most threatening part of my team. This does beat Crocodile pretty handily if it does come. It's strong enough where it can do big damage with an ice type move like Icicle Crash or Ice Spinner or something, and Crocodile can't really do much to it, so it could come. I could see it, but it's not the strongest pick necessarily. If I'm picking 6 from this, I think it might show up. Here's what I'm pretty convinced on is Venomoth. I think Venomoth offers some really important support for Cosmos that he doesn't get from anywhere else. It's pretty similar to Vivillon. In all honesty, when I was drafting, when it was my turn to pick that bug, I was like, it's either Vivillon or Venomoth. And then Venomoth wasn't swooped up yet. And I was like, I'm going to pick Vivillon because it's my favorite, and I like Friend Guard, and it's just a really cool Mon. But if I didn't get Vivillon, I was getting Venomoth for sure. It gets Rage Powder. I think, does it still get Tailwind? It does not, so Cosmos is relying on Noivern for that. But Sleep Powder, I could totally see Sleep Powder being used into me, 100%. My only immunity to powder naturally is Rotom Mow. Of course I could run safety goggles, but I anticipate Cosmos to bring this. I don't know why. I'm like feeling it in my bones that this thing comes. Maybe it comes offensive. That'd be sick. I don't think like a Quiver Dance Bug Bust set runs through my team too hard, but it is good into Crocodile. I think my team is so offensive that having Rage Powder is going to be really important for Cosmos. I could see him going for a line with like after he gets Tailwind set up, you have to either like Bulk Up or Nasty Plot on Annihilape or Golden Goes respectively, and you help facilitate that with Venomoth, either with Sleep or with Rage Powder or other utility kind of status moves. I feel like that's the line that he's going to bring. So with that being said, Venomoth, that's like an 8 out of 10 for me. Skuntank's interesting. Again, it's bad into Crocodile, which as similar to Jolteon, so I'm not convinced it shows up. It's good into Dragapult. Sucker Punch does huge damage if I don't Terra, so that's something to consider. It's also good into Valiant because it's a poison type and it can use Gunk Shot, really strong Gunk Shots to try and pick up a KO, and it's so bulky I can't really do much about it. So Skuntank's been coming to a lot of Cosmos's matches. I could see it come to mind, totally. He's usually running it bulky. He's been running Fire Spin a lot, which is awesome and hilarious. I think this could definitely show up. Sucker Punch is valuable when my team is so fast and you want to just smack them, right? You want to clean up KOs and whatnot. So Skuntank could come. It could. I don't have a whole lot to say on it, just other than it's like a kind of an all-rounder. It does okay damage. It has okay bulk. It's a great defensive typing. That's pretty much it. Knucklestack. Knucklestack's interesting. Knucklestack has carried some games for Cosmos, and I think my team is too offensive to warrant it. Even with Eviolite, like it doesn't get that bulky. I just played against Garganackle and I one-shot it with Leaf Storm, so I would definitely one-shot Knackle Stack. That being said, Cosmos could position carefully, but I think Knackle Stack's a bit of a liability. I think Cosmos's best bet is to bring a lot of offense to match my offense and then control my team. That's what I'm expecting to see. I guess let's back up. I've been talking about what I expect to see so much. I want to just like get a good look at all these mons. Noivern is for sure coming. Gardevoir is for sure coming. For some reason, I think Venomoth is for sure coming. I bet his A tiers are coming, Goldengo and Annihilate. And then that leaves a flex slot. Maybe it's Avalugg, maybe it's Skuntank. I don't know, but those 5 I feel like really confident about. Just if you can't tell, I'm putting more thought into this matchup than some of my other ones, just because I know Cosmos is such a cracked player, and if I want to stand a chance, I have to do well into him. Depending on, like, currently with this week, not all of the other week's matches are done, and like week 5 and 6 are not finished. Depending on how this match goes, may or may not eliminate me from playoffs. If I beat Cosmos, I'm for sure in playoffs. If I don't beat Cosmos, it depends on how the other coaches do with the rest of their weeks. So it's an important match for me to try and win. Let's talk about the team that I want to bring. Here they are. I'm kind of just trying to keep it simple. I've brought these 6. I feel like these are just kind of my 6 strongest mons just on their own. And the sets are really straightforward, except I have one gimmick going on. I just feel like if I beat Cosmos, if I can beat Cosmos, I need to have a simple game plan that isn't too complicated, where he can't call me out on things. I just need to like make it really straightforward. So that's what I'm going for. That being said, my silly gimmick is these first 2 mons. So I have Weakness Policy, Infiltrator, Dragapult. Cosmos certainly used Substitute before. I could see him using screens, although I don't know which of his mons get screens. But if he has screens, I could see it happening. It's just better than Clear Body in the situation, and Cursed Body is just kind of, I don't really feel like using it. Is a +2 special attacking Dragapult bops a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff on Cosmos' team gets wrecked by that, especially Flamethrower. The coverage of Ghost and Fire hits everything really hard, especially the ones I'm concerned about, like Goldengo, like Annihilate, like Gardevoir. +2 Shadow Balls just tear through those. So I really felt like I wanted a offensive special Dragapult to make this happen. I was doing some calcs, and I just felt like there were too many ranges, knowing how defensive Cosmos likes to build his mons with EVs, that I needed a boost, and Life Orb just like didn't feel like enough, and it also hurt my bulk a lot. So after some thought, after consideration, I was like, what if I just get +2? Then if I use Draco Meteor, then I'm back to neutral, which is great. And Draco Meteor will nuke anything neutrally. If they defensively Terra, right, and I can hit him with a Dragon type move, Draco Meteor at +2, one-shots pretty much everything. And otherwise, Shadow Ball and Flamethrower are really strong. I decided it's policy time. I started with a mixed set with Dragon Darts, and I was like, you know what? I think I'd just rather have the Draco Meteor nuke, and then I don't have to worry about dropping one of my defenses to keep my damage up. So moderately bulky, moderately fast Dragapult. I'm just fast enough where I can outspeed his whole team unboosted, which is important. Yeah, 164 Modest, I think, outpaces Jolteon. I need to double check that, but that sounds right to me. If that's wrong, this will be changed by the time that the battle goes live. Up next, Iron Valiant. There's the Shadow Sneak. There's the side proc. The problem with this strategy is that if I want to Terra Dragapult, I don't have a good side proc. So if I'm going to pull this off, I need to do it with Valiant when Dragapult is still a ghost type. That being said, Shadow Sneak, pretty good. I'm kind of imagining a lead where there's like an offensive piece like Annihilate or Goldengo and Noivern, and I think Noivern's going to have Sash. So my plan is to side proc Dragapult, blast either the offensive piece or Noivern, and if I hit Noivern, or like one of those leads is going to have Sash, I think, and then Shadow Sneak allows me to clean up later and then continue swinging with Dragapult. That's kind of an idea that I have. I'm speedy booster energy. I'm actually all bulk. I don't have much offense at all. This is like a supportive Gardevoir. It's fast and supportive. Moonblast hits his team pretty well. Unless I do a lot of investment, it doesn't pick up any particular KOs for me, so I'm just not going to invest. Icy Wind for control. This is really fun. So again, I think he's going to try and match my control. And Icy Wind, there's a secret extra spicy tech where it procs Annihilape's Defiant. I would be shocked if he didn't bring Defiant Annihilate, if he brought Annihilate, just because I have Crocodile with Intimidate, and you'll see that I am running Intimidate. But I have Intimidate and Icy Wind, and Crocodile has Foul Play. I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but that's a surefire way to just delete Annihilate. My team otherwise kind of struggles, especially with Terra, because I could invest offensively in Valiant, and Moonblast could like one-shot it, but if it terastallizes into a fire type, well, I'm just out of position, and it's terrible. No matter what, unless he Terras into a type that resists Dark, which would just be kind of silly, then I can proc Intimidate, I can proc Icy Wind, and this thing is that massive attack, and I click Foul Play and it faints. So that's a strategy that I have in mind. So we'll see if that works. Let's move on in that case to Crocodile. I'm running a Terra Ground, Assault Vest, Crocodile. I want to click Earthquake as much as possible. Cosmos' team isn't super good into Earthquake, although it's not like weak to it either, but I'm thinking about Jolteon, I'm thinking about Goldengo, I'm thinking about Skuntank. Having Strong Ground is really useful against him, so I have Strong Ground. Crocodile's been really good this season, just overall. It's been just probably the MVP of the team in general, just with how threatening and useful it's been. Intimidate just seems like a good tool to lower damage output. And again, I want to proc Annihilape's Defiant if it comes. If it doesn't have Defiant, it gets Intimidated. So it's like a win-win, you know? The Foul Play enables Intimidate to not be a liability for me versus an Annihilate. So that's really, really cool. I'm just running Ground and Dark moves. I didn't feel like I had room for coverage, and this just works. I want Earthquake for spread, but I also need single target damage if my partner wants to do something. I want to run Crunch because it's my best stab ground or dark move, but then I also want Foul Play for this strat. So I was just mono Ground and Dark, mono stab moves. That's just what we're doing. The Terra Ground makes sense just for boosting Earthquake, but also removing the Dark type. Removing the Dark type actually helps me against certain matchups. Like, it's good into Annihilate. I guess it is worse for Rage Fist, but better for Drain Punch. So kind of a balance there. I probably won't end up clicking on Crocodile, but maybe I do. Maybe I just start swinging with Terra Ground. Who knows? We're bringing Pyroar. This is very similar to a previous Pyroar that we brought. It's a little bit slower. There was no point in trying to outspeed like Jolteon or Noivern because I can't. So I just went to outspeed the next best thing that I could outspeed. So I went modest, 244 speed. I'm pretty happy with that. This is actually really good into Goldengo. You can't use status moves on Goldengo, but Snarl does lower its special attack, which it really doesn't want to happen. And Cosmos has a lot of special attackers, like Gardevoir. Noivern is traditionally a special attacker. Another way I can proc Annihilape's Defiant for a Foul Play is with Snarl. Snarl just seems like a great tool. I'm running Throat Spray, so once I Snarl, or I just use Hyper Voice off the bat, I'll have a boost. Those Flamethrowers, again, I think fire damage is like really good into Cosmos. He doesn't have a water type. So, of course, he has a resist. I think he has Noivern. We just went through his team, but I don't think he has... Is there anything besides Noivern? No. Oh, okay, Knuckle Stack. But I don't think Knuckle Stack's coming. So that's why I have Flamethrower on Dragapult, and I have Flamethrower, not Heat Wave. I might change my mind, but I just don't want to mess with accuracy here. If I use Heat Wave and there's an Avalugg on the field and it misses Avalugg, I'm going to be sad. So I decided single target Flamethrower. If I want spread, I just go for Hyper Voice. Hyper Voice is still pretty good into his team. He has two Ghost types, but they both want to Terrestrialize, so I think it kind of works. Can catch them on a switch or something as well. Again, pretty standard Pyroar set, but I feel good about it. This is a really important bring, I think, for me. Vivillon, I love Vivillon. I have to bring it. I'm bringing a bold-natured one that's pretty speedy, pretty bulky, really standard set, just full support. Pollen Puff, Rage Powder, Tailwind, Protect. I want Tailwind. Friend Guard is great here. My only worry about Friend Guard is that Gardevoir can trace it, so I have to be really careful to position Vivillon properly if I do end up bringing it. If there's a Gardevoir lead and I'm like, oh, I have to lead Vivillon, it gets hairy, it gets tricky. Friend Guard would be pretty bad, but +2 Shadow Ball still KOs Gardevoir if it, or I guess. I don't think it gets its own Friend Guard, so never mind. Whatever. It will be solved. It'll be figured out. So, again, not a lot to say here. Right now, I'm rocking Mental Herb. I was doing some offensive calcs, and I was just like, I don't feel like I need Focus Sash. I think Vivillon often is going to either get doubled up or it won't get KO'd. So I just was like, I'd rather not get taunted. I can totally see Noivern coming, taunting Vivillon, because I know Cosmos is scared of Compound Eye Sleep Powder. So Mental Herb just allows me to Rage Powder, it allows me to Tailwind. And then if I do get taunted later, then like I can always just Pollen Puff for heals. Pollen Puff is like really, really nice here. It's good into Arboliva too. Actually, this Mon into Arboliva kind of beats it, like one-on-one. The only thing Arboliva can do to hit it is a normal type move, which Vivillon has access to Terra Steel if I really want it, and it's just pretty bulky in general. I think it's good. I'm proud of Vivillon. This Rotom Mow is the exact same Rotom Mow that we brought last week. There's literally nothing different about it. I wanted a spec set, I wanted to hit hard, I wanted to pivot with Volt Switch. Trick could be interesting. Trick is pretty good into like Annihilate. It's pretty good into Avalugg. There's a couple Mons, or like Knuckle Stack is good into Skuntank. It depends on the Skuntank, but he's usually been running physical. So I have to be careful about Skuntank, but those other physical attackers just don't want to be choiced. So Another option with that, which is like really cheeky, but like I could do it, is that I could trick my specs onto Dragapult for extra damage if I really want, which would be interesting, but I don't think that's gonna happen. I just decided not to mess with it. I could be running Discharge, but only Crocodile's immune to that, and I don't know. I guess we have Wide Guard and Valiant too, but the Wide Guard is mostly there for Make It Rain and like Heat Wave from Noivern, so I just thought, you know what, we'll just run the same set. It seems good to me. I'm looking forward to this match. If nothing else, it will be fun. Cosmos is a very threatening opponent, and I'm very excited to battle him. It's going to go super well. If you're excited, leave a like on the video, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about my team for the last week of the regular season in the CGC Draft League, and by the time that you finish the next video, hopefully I'm confirmed to make the top 8 bracket for playoffs. Only time will tell, and I'll see you then.